So I want to share a story about I saw a story online about a woman and her husband's baby mama, like what transpired. So I want to share the story, and I want all of us to listen. I want us to listen, and then let me know in the comment section what you would do if you find yourself in a situation like this. Like if you were in her shoes, God forbid, but what will you do? And share with me the lesson you have learned from this story. So I'm going to be sharing the story. I have it in my phone, so I'm going to be sharing the story, and we are all going to learn something from it. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is your baby girl Jimmy Beck. So in today's video, I want us to share our opinion on what we think about this. You let me know in the comment section what you think. If you are found in a situation like this, what are you going to do and what you think about this particular story. So I want to share the story. I have been married to my husband for 14 years. I have been married to my husband for 14 years now. We have 4 children together, all girls. I used to be sad about it, but my husband has always assured me that he was okay with having only female children. So this first part of the story, she's saying that she has been married to this man for 14 years and they have 3 girls, and this man has always assured her that he's okay with the fact that they have just girls. He's not worried. Let her not worry herself. They have just girls and he's fine with it. So she says, I started dating my husband when I was 18 years old. This is to say, I have been over half of my years on earth loving this man. One of the policies I created for my marriage was that I will never check my husband's phone no matter what. My husband has never given me a reason to even check his phone. He always comes home early, and he is a very dedicated husband and father. So she's saying here that she has been married to this man for 18 years. That's like half of her age. So, and for this 18 years, she has not been checking her husband's phone because it was like a policy to her that she's not going to be checking her husband's phone for no reason. And this husband too has never given her a reason to check his phone. So the story continues. Why create a problem where there is none? So she's asking herself, why will I check my husband's phone where there is no problem? Why will I go and be creating a problem when there is no problem? So she never checked the phone because the man has never given her a reason to check his phone. So our anniversary was on the 26th of October. He was away in I will not call the state, for a business meeting, but he promised to fly back home for the celebration that day. With the help of my girls, I was able to organize a surprise dinner party. I invited some of his close friends, and even his immediate younger sister was present. It was getting late and my husband was still nowhere to be found. I tried his line severally, but it was switched off. Disappointed, the guests had to leave one by one. I cried my eyes out that day. So it was the anniversary. She prepared for him, waited him with some friends and family, and he did not show up. Tried to call him and he was not picking his call. I didn't hear from him that night. My girls and I didn't close our eyes throughout the night. That was so unlike my husband. That means your husband has always been around for anniversaries, and this was strange. So around 8:30 a.m. the next day, my phone rang. It was my father-in-law, and he said he mentioned that my husband was admitted in the general hospital. Please go there now. She was called in the morning that her husband has been admitted in the hospital in another place, and the father-in-law asked her to go there now, go there immediately. And then she replied that he's in, let me say for example, they are in Douala, and the husband was admitted in Yaoundé. So she was like, but my husband is in Douala. How come he's admitted in the hospital in Yaoundé. The father has already cut the call. So, like a mad woman, I quickly put 1 and 2 together and carried my children to my parents' house, who were as surprised as I was. From there, I made my way to Yaoundé. So I'll be using Yaoundé and Douala. I got to the hospital and met my husband in a critical condition. He was on life support. There was bruises all over his body. I thought it was an accident until the doctor told me my husband was stabbed 15 times. I started crying. I called my in-laws, who told me they were already on their way. I held my husband's hands and I was crying. Baby, please don't leave me alone on this wicked world. I can't do this life without you. In the evening, my husband's parents and his elder brothers arrived from the village. It was then I got to know that my husband was brutalized by his baby mama. Apparently, my husband has a 3-year-old son with another woman. They had an argument and my husband hit her. With anger, this woman called her boyfriend, who is and they did this to him. Thanks to good neighbors who rushed him to the hospital. Unfortunately, only the boyfriend was apprehended. The woman is still on the run. Tears dried up immediately from my eyes. All I felt was disgust and hate for my husband. Did you need a male child so bad that you did not? Did you need a male child so bad that you did this to me? You told me you were okay. You told me female children are also important. You told me to stop crying and worrying myself over having a male child. Why didn't you tell me you weren't okay? I said these words with tears. I was inconsolable. My mother-in-law tried her best to pacify me. Like, she cried after getting to realize that her husband was actually keeping a baby mama outside that he had a son with, a 3-year-old son. And he had an argument with this woman, and the woman called her boyfriend and they beat him up and stabbed him. And the neighbors had to rush him to the hospital. Now, we want him to leave that woman, but he could not listen, my mother-in-law said. So they were even aware of their son's affair. I felt a fresh wound in my chest. I never would have guessed my husband would do something like this. I felt a fresh wound in my chest. I never would have guessed my husband would do this to me. I stormed out of the hospital in anger and boarded a taxi to take me to any nearby park. My husband is reaping what he sowed, and I won't be a part of it. I was still in the taxi when I remembered our marital vows. For better or worse, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. I felt a sharp pain in my stomach. I was short of breath and I could not breathe. The driver had to park somewhere and made sure I was okay. When I was a bit calm, I asked him to take me back to the hospital. I returned back to the hospital and tended to my wounded husband. I hated him, but I still needed to do what I have to do as his wife. The next day, his parents and his siblings traveled back to the village. I was left alone with him. My mother came the next day and stayed with me for 2 days, before traveling back to to take care of the children. I put my life on hold to stay by the side of this undeserving man. It wasn't easy for me at all. My husband was in coma for 2 weeks before he finally regained his consciousness. He finally regained consciousness. He could not look at me in the eyes. He could not speak yet, but his face showed he was ashamed of his action. He began to get better day by day, although some of the injuries were looking so bad. One evening, I was dozing off by the side of the bed when my husband held my hand. My wife, I am sorry. I was startled. I didn't know he has even regained his voice. I didn't want to bother you. I just needed a son to bear my name. I'm sorry that woman is far beneath you, my husband said. He was in so much pain. I just told him to stop speaking and wait till he gets better for us to settle scores. I held his hand and we were both crying. I fell asleep. That was the last time I heard from my husband. He died that night. I cried my eyes out. His family came and took his body to the village. I finally got reunited with my girls. They were asking about their father and I didn't know what to say. My husband was buried 2 weeks after. I was in the parlor with my mom when 2 men came into the house. I was given a notice to quit. I was surprised. My husband built this house. Who is quitting me? Madam, this house was sold to my client last week. I would advise you to evacuate this building before the due date. One of the men who is a lawyer advised. So the husband died and he was buried. 2 weeks later, some men came to our house and asked them to quit, like get out of the house. And that the house was sold a week ago. Who sold this house? I asked, perplexed. I was presented with the house documents, which now bear the name of a new owner. The house was sold by my late husband's baby mama, who is still on the run. My agony got tripled. This house was built by my husband and I. I contributed to the building of this house. I don't deserve this, I cried out. I decided to go to the bank to make inquiries about my husband's finances. When I got there, I got the shock of my life. My husband changed his next of kin from my name to his son's name. The son his baby mama had for him. My world has crumbled. So, if you are this woman, if you are in her shoes, what will you do? This is a really pathetic story. But if you are in her shoes, what will you do? What will you do? So let me know in the comment section what will you do in a situation like this. So she has lost her husband. She has lost her properties, like all the properties that they both built together. Like the both of them, they hustled. She contributed in building the house, contributed in getting the properties as a wife. And she has lost the husband and lost these properties to the husband's baby mama. What lesson have you drawn from this story? You as a man or you as a woman? And if you are in this situation, what will you do? Thank you for listening. I'm waiting to hear your contributions in the comment section below. Bye-bye.